Welcome to CommunityHoops.com coverage of Anoka-Ramsey Community College and MCTC Community College. It's a matchup for the Southern Division title, and we're in co-production with Ty Productions and Mike Peden. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good. It's our first game that we've called together in a couple of years. You think you can handle me this time around?
Well, let's make sure that we're not making any bold predictions. That's all I got to say.
So we come into today, you mentioned Southern Division implications on the line. Anoka-Ramsey 7-1 in the conference. Minneapolis 8-1 in the conference. Minneapolis 21-3 overall. Anoka-Ramsey 19-4 overall. So the top two teams playing each other in the Southern Division. And it's almost a sad story to see MCTC go with the way they've been playing so far.
The story at MCTC on the program being dissolved as for lack of a better reason, is kind of unique. And you really have to research it, and we're going to do an audio special on CommunityHoops.com to give the full facts, probably in a couple weeks once their season ends. But right now, our focus is on this game, and Anoka-Ramsey rated number 4 in the nation, MCTC rated number 7, and that's only after MCTC lost to Rochester, and Anoka-Ramsey beat them up by 30.
Players to watch for in this game, Mallory Kramer and Alex Moore from Anoka-Ramsey. If you're familiar with those two faces, it's because we've called them in high school productions before. Mallory Kramer leading the Southern Division in rebounds, putting up nearly 12 boards a game. Alex Moore leading the Southern Division in assists with 6.3 assists per game. And on the scoring side, keep an eye on Brianna Blackhawk for Minneapolis Community and Technical College. She is in second place in the Southern Division, but only by a tenth of a point, averaging 21.8 points per game coming into today. However, she leads in total points scored with 501 versus 460 for the leader, Krista Vihauser of Ridgewater.
Krista Vihauser has two sisters playing a scholarship ball. One at Milwaukee, I believe. The other one at our cousins, not sisters, cousins. The other one at Concordia College in St. Paul.
So without further delay, let's take a look at the starting lineups for Minneapolis Community and Technical College. Brianna Blackhawk at forward will start, along with Sierra Howard at forward, Erin Wall at the point, Crystal Queen at point guard, and Natalie Horn at the point. We'll get to Anoka-Ramsey here shortly. Tip-off, that's Alex Moore. 3-point specialist for St. Paul Johnson. Now she's with the Golden Rams. They're wearing white, Minneapolis in purple and red. That's Mallory Kramer. And she hands it off to number 24, Alyssa Silva. Moore, top of the key. Short. Rebound, Blackhawk. We mentioned Blackhawk, 21.8 points per game coming into today's contest.
Blackhawk has a strong right hand at the point position. She does get herself into a little trouble in traps, but her teammates do a great job of helping her out.
Shot too high, and it's brought down by Kramer. Kramer, of course, member of the 2009 Class 4A state champion Minneapolis South Tigers, was a 5-sport athlete in her high school days.
For those on CommunityHoops.com, if you're used to a little more description on the audio, you'll just have to be patient. We're on TV right now, so that's the style that we're using.
And you can look for the TV broadcast of this game later on, so stay tuned for that. Crystal Queen has the ball now, and we've got our foul. So while we have a foul, we'll take a look at the Anoka-Ramsey starting lineup. Alex Moore at guard, Mallory Kramer at forward, Stephanie Pilgrim at forward, Alyssa Silva at guard, and Mary Hansen at forward.
Mallory Kramer pushed number 32, Erin Wall, in the back as she was going to receive the ball.
Blackhawk can't drain the three. Kramer picks up her first personal foul. This is junior college basketball, so there are 20-minute halves, no media timeouts. For three, that's Silva. No good. Rebound by Anoka-Ramsey, no putback.
The rebound was by Marie Hansen.
But Anoka-Ramsey gets another possession.
30-second shot clock, as you've been reminded a couple of times.
It reminds me of the 2008 All-Star game. That's a long two for Kramer. Got it.
Kramer draws first blood for both teams, and there's going to be a lot of mistakes due to pressure because of the significance of this game. So look for a higher level of turnovers than these teams might normally give you.
Minneapolis with the ball. That's Howard. Drive to the right side. Layup no good. Rebound, no putback. And it's brought down by Hansen. Natalie Horn not doing well so far at the post. Mallory Kramer gets it off a Minneapolis player to keep possession.
A very heads-up player by Mallory. Going out of bounds, knowing the ball was going to be in the corner and she was going to be out of balance getting it. And we have a substitute for Minneapolis, Brittany Mono in the game.
Kramer, she knows a thing or two about heads-up plays, having Emil G. Hatt as her coach for the last few years. That's Hansen with the point from the paint.
Hansen does a great job from right to left, but going left to right is another issue.
4-0 Anoka-Ramsey up, 17:15 to go in the first half. As you mentioned, there is a 30-second shot clock, although that hasn't been an issue yet. If it were Minnesota, it might be, but...
Silva gets the foul. That's her first, team second. MCTC with the ball, the Mavericks. In and out, play.
That was Crystal Queen getting Minneapolis on the board. Kramer thought about three. Pump fakes, drives. No basket. She's going to the line, though.
Erin Wall will get the foul. She turned with the play. If she had stayed straight forward, she might have gotten the player control foul called against her. But the fact that she moved with the play was more than enough for the referee to blow the whistle against her.
So Kramer's at the line to shoot two. As we mentioned, a 5-sport athlete at Minneapolis South, and one of those sports included rowing. She even got some offers to compete in the NCAA's in rowing, but she decided to stick with basketball. As we mentioned off broadcast, Anoka-Ramsey was able to promise her playing time.
So Kramer didn't want to be part of the crew.
That was our first joke of the day. Kramer makes one of two, so it's a 5-2 lead for the Golden Rams.
Brittany had some Division I opportunities. They didn't work out for her early in her career, right out of Stillwater. And she has come back for her second year at MCTC of 3. She's also a part of the reserves. That's the United States Reserves for the Armed Forces.
Just so that we're clear on that. That's Blackhawk with the ball. That's Queen for 3. No good. Rebound goes to Howard, but she stepped on the line, I believe. Yes, she did.
You know, I'm kind of amazed that Queen didn't end up at Anoka-Ramsey with the close ties that James Fassett, the assistant coach, has with the Richfield program.
Moore for 3. No good. Rebound, Erin Wall. She's from Blaine.
Ball off to the left side.
Blackhawk, tough shot, almost goes in. Pilgrim came down with a rebound. Little miscommunication, but Pilgrim makes up for it. Kramer tries right, drops back, draws the foul. It will go against Queen.
Brittany Mono with the block shot on the turn high side from Kramer, and it was a beautiful wait and block.
Couldn't quite see the block. My viewing angle is different than usual. I'm here in the first row of the bleachers. Don't have a monitor in front of me. That's Hansen for 3. Too strong. Rebound Queen.
You're going to see a lot of different things in community college ball that you wouldn't normally see in high school or college. And the shot that I'm looking for the name, Blackhawk took earlier is a prime example.
Kramer with the steal. Moore brings it up. Hansen thought about it, goes inside to Kramer, and there's the foul. I saw contact from Brittany Moigno, so I believe the foul will be called against her, but we'll check the scoreboard.
And we're going to have a timeout on MCTC side.
You're right, and the foul was on Moigno. That is
her
first, and Minneapolis's third foul, so it's 5-2, 15:28 to go, and the fouling situation, no different than in high school. You get 16 fouls and 5 fouls as a player before you're disqualified.
The 7th team foul, your shooting bonus, and 10th team foul, your shooting super bonus, so to speak. That is correct. In my experience with MCTC, even when they won the national title some years ago, I think it was like 2000, 2001, right in that area, this is the largest roster I've seen MCTC have this late into the season. Normally at the community college level, you'll find players, because it's a non-scholarship situation, decide to go to work or whatnot. And it's very refreshing, even though it's last year, to see dedication like this at the community college level, especially at MCTC. And the MCTC program has to rely on non-traditional community college students. We'll get more into that the next time out.
Mallory Kramer going to the line. It was ruled a shooting foul. She drains her first. She has 3 points now. Make that 4, actually. And she misses her second, so she's 2 for 4, 50%. Blackhawk with the rebound. Races through, finds an open number 32, Wall with the basket inside.
I heard somebody behind us say that's a walk. No, she just took her right leg and made good space use in the lane. Nice shot by the Blaine recruit.
Moore stops, pops, swish. Long two is good. Speaking of getting away with travels, Cretin-Durham Hall did that last night in a boys game against Forest Lake. They lost that in overtime, 80-79. In Suburban East race implications, we've got a basket for Minneapolis. I believe it was Sierra Howard who got it.
It was Sierra Howard. It's a 2-point game. There is no way, even if there's a 10-point lead, you can think this game will be over at any point.
Mallory Kramer gets her 6th point of the day. It's 10-6, Anoka-Ramsey. And you're right, it's back and forth so far. 4-point game.
Let me ask you a question. Do you always bring out the best in Mallory Kramer when you go out and shoot productions?
That's Wall. That's a good question. Monio for 3, no good. Rebound Pilgrim. That is a good question. We covered a lot of games at Minneapolis South. Taylor Hill, of course, was there, and so South got a lot of coverage to the point where it bugged Emil Jihad a little bit, and Taylor Hill to an extent, but folks like Mallory Kramer loved it.
You know, and Mallory, if I remember correctly, the few productions I did with you that involved South, she always had double figures in rebounds at minimum. If not points, she would have double-double then. But
and Mallory Kramer, only 5'10", and she was on a South team last year that won state that had no player above 6 feet, but she played like she was 6 feet or more.
Lavera Jeffrey from
Holy cow, Kramer picks up 8. Sorry, I jumped on you.
That's all right. Jeffrey from Highland Park is one of those non-traditional students that we talked about earlier. 6'4" player looking to revive a basketball career while she's getting an education.
And she draws the foul. She'll be going to the line. And so far, the shot clock not an issue.
One of the things at Minneapolis Community College, and I keep harping on this, non-traditional students. By non-traditional, I mean students that are coming back after realizing that getting a job right out of high school is not going to make it, or going off to a 4-year school did not work out. There are only 3 players on this roster for Minneapolis Community Technical College that are true freshmen or true sophomores. And by true, I mean they've attended high school in the last year or 2.
And it goes to say, just because you're at this level doesn't mean your career is done. And I know this is a somewhat different story, but Minnesota has brought in a couple JUCO transfers with Kay Silva a couple years ago and China Antoine this year. Moore, again, gets the bounce. And Anoka-Ramsey has a 2-1 lead over MCTC, 14-7. Kramer doing a great job inside, and Moore getting it done from the perimeter.
2 inner-city players.
There's Howard with the left-handed layup. Howard from Bloomington Kennedy originally.
Played for Percy Wade.
Moore this time drives inside but can't get it to fall, and it's picked up by Jeffrey. There's a foul. I believe it'll go against Moore.
This will be the team 5th. And it's not against Moore. Yeah, it is against Moore. My fault.
So 1 foul left to give. Actually, 2 fouls.
They already moved the board. Okay.
2 fouls left to give for both sides, fouling even at 4 apiece.
Under 13 minutes.
We could see a lot of free throws. And that's my Maddenism for the day. This is Blackhawk with the ball. Double teamed, finds Queen. Mid-range, short. Gets her own rebound, can't clean it up. Jeffrey picks it up. No good. Queen gets it. She draws the foul.
The one thing that MCTC is doing a much better job of that you don't normally see at the community college level is the shots are going back. Boom, 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 right away. There's no hesitation. There's no bringing the balls down below the shoulders. And anyone that wants to be a basketball player at the high school or college level, or is a basketball player at the high school, college level, and needs to improve their shot and wants to get to the line more, there's your first step. Keeping that ball above the shoulders.
Fouls on Silva, her second personal. Queen made her first. Can't get the second. And ball will go to Anoka-Ramsey. We've got another foul on MCTC, so both teams with one foul left to give.
Jeffy's, that'll be her second.
It's on number 2?
No, it's on number 24. Her
there we
first,
go.
Not my fault.
And the basket for Anoka-Ramsey. That was on Jeffrey. The scoreboard had 2 for a second, and I looked at the roster, and there is no number 2.
That last basket by Moore for Anoka-Ramsey.
So the intercity players getting it done here for the Golden Rams. Moore gets her own steal. Count it. Moore started her career at St. Paul Central, then transferred to St. Paul Johnson, where she graduated. 3-point play opportunity here. Anoka-Ramsey getting the edge.
Fouls on Blackhawk.
That's your first. MCTC out of fouls to give, but the way this game's going, I wouldn't be surprised if Anoka-Ramsey uses up their last foul to give before long. Moore cannot complete the free throw.
Jeffy's with the rebound.
This is Howard. Look for Jeffrey, overthrows her.
You know, that pass looked like it was intended for Shaquille O'Neal. And at 6'4", that's not quite Shaquille O'Neal.
So we're at another timeout. You had mentioned about the non-traditional students and a little bit about MCTC. So perhaps you want to give us a little tease for what's coming up at Community Hoops?
Well, at MCTC, unlike other community colleges that close their programs, for example, North Hennepin, Inver Hills, and Normandale in the late 80s, early 90s. That was all done by one president in particular. But those were closed due to presidential view of budget cut needs or the value of athletics versus the money spent. Now, the same principles was applied at MCTC, but it was applied by the Student Senate. And the Student Senate felt that the $100,000+ that they spend on basketball for 20 to 30 students will be better served in other areas to help non-traditional students. Now, I do not applaud the move because it takes away athletics from a school that offers opportunities to players that definitely need the opportunities at the non-traditional level. But I applaud the efforts by the Student Council because what they're now doing is offering health care options and other things that don't normally get offered at the community college level.
You mentioned about the opportunities it gives. I know a good friend of yours got that chance before she transferred to Minnesota. I'm talking about Leah B. Olson. Way back when.
Way back in the day, and I'm still looking for a DVD.
Well, so Leah, if you're watching, he's still looking for a DVD. Three-pointer no good from Pilgrim, and Blackhawk brings it up. She gets it inside. Left-handed layup, got it.
Look at that strong pass right on a give and go from Brittany Magno.
18-12, Anoka-Ramsey leads, but you get the feeling MCTC could get back into this if they really want it.
Well, they're missing a lot of easy shots on the inside. They're doing a great job of boxing out, and eventually they're going to get a rhythm. It's just, will it come in time?
Moore, they call it a two-pointer. I thought she was got a three. She was standing on front of the men's line, but behind the women's line, so they can't call a challenge or a replay on that, so we'll have to go with a 2 for now. Jeffrey with the right-handed layup for MCTC, and it's a 6-point game again.
It's amazing as the student players get older how much speed they can keep if they stay in shape. And Jeffy's is a great example.
Hansen can't get the basket. Rebound goes to Blackhawk. Jenna Anderson from Ashland is in the game for Anoka-Ramsey, and we have
a foul.
We do have a foul.
That was a third block shot by Brittany Magno.
They don't have that category on the stat sheet.
They will when you get the box score.
Queen to Howard. Moore. That's not Moore. I'm getting my wires crossed now.
Magno with the shot.
Yeah, that was Magno.
Howard with the loose ball pickup and knocked away.
2-on-1 situation for the Golden Rams. Anderson got it.
And who's the pass from?
Moore, who leads the Southern Division in assists at 6.3 a game, so that'll add to that statistic of hers.
8-point lead.
Anoka-Ramsey applying the pressure. It's working so far. Blackhawk. There's a foul.
It'll be a fadeaway shot, but there's a foul on the rebound on MCTC.
And that's it. They're out of fouls to give, so Anoka-Ramsey in the bonus, but they rule it a team control foul, it appears.
Yeah, Jeffrey steps out, and she got the foul. That's her second. A couple players in for MCTC.
Chanel Vincent is in the game for Anoka-Ramsey, number 32. She'll be inbounding the ball. Now the refs are having a discussion.
And also another Minneapolis South grad, Amy Miles. And it's a loose ball foul on the rebound. I was trying to figure out exactly what you were trying to get at, and I knew it was a loose ball, but when the referees make a call, you don't try to overrule the referees from the TV booth. Lord knows I've tried.
That's Pilgrim at the line. She drains her first. Pilgrim, third in the Southern Division in free throw shooting percentage. 79.2% of her shots have gone in. And she'll improve those numbers as she makes both. Anoka-Ramsey pulls out to 10, but as you mentioned, they might be up by 10 for now, but MCTC could easily bring this back to one possession later on.
That could have been ruled a pass to herself.
Possession will go to the Golden Rams. I think the only person who made a pass work to himself work was Brad Johnson when he was with the Vikings. The only quarterback in the NFL to record a touchdown pass to himself after his pass was deflected, went right back to him.
And now I'm very upset with you because that was my line after we had a break. Don't you see the index cards where it says Tony's line?
That's Kramer. She gets the bounce. She breaks double digits with 10.
In talking to Keith Lindahl before the game, he was quite sure that Anoka-Ramsey was going to come out firing on all cylinders, wanted to play this game real hard because they had an opportunity to win the Southern Division, the 1 seed, going to the state tournament in a couple weeks.
Blackhawk draws the foul, and so Anoka-Ramsey out of fouls to give. It's against Pilgrim, her second personal, and that will send Blackhawk to the line.
Don't take this the wrong way, but Anoka-Ramsey's clearing the bench early in the game with a 12-point lead.
Blackhawk 77% free throw shooter this season. She's fourth in the Southern Division in free throw shooting percentage.
Now, Anoka-Ramsey only has 2 substitutions with 7 players. So.
That is right. 3 players, Angie Geer, Megan Schlotterath, and Ashley Zimmel are not dressed up. Blackhawk makes both free throws, so it's a 10-point game again.
Ball up on top.
Vincent looks for Kramer, bounces to her, goes to Anderson, drives to the right side, had an opening but not for long. Blackhawk with the board. Going for Miles. Blackhawk into the paint, too strong, rebound Hansen.
There are very few players I would trust with the ball below the shoulders and holding it as loosely as they do. But Brittany's one of those players I would trust.
Traveling violation on Jenna Anderson. It's the classic step before you dribble.
It's called elephant.
Elephant step. Happens a lot in the college ranks too at Division I.
It's amazing. You'd almost think they teach that.
They teach that, and the other interesting thing over the last few years is why more programs haven't worked to strengthen the ACLs, because that seems to be the Achilles heel for a lot of female basketball players.
And I'm sure pun was intended there.
No pun was intended. I was going to say it cost the Minnesota Lynx their season last year after Augustus went down. We have a traveling violation on MCTC. Augustus went down after the 6th game of the year, and the Lynx just were really had a young roster, didn't have the experience to hang on with the tougher teams, but that's changing.
Minneapolis Community Technical College, MCTC, in a man-to-man. They've been in the man-to-man the whole game.
Vincent thought about a three. Kramer, she has three-point range. Instead, they go to Silva. She can't get it. Rebound, Kramer. She's going to the line.
Brittany Mino stepped in, and she stepped in a little early on that. The shot was already getting started when she slid in to try to block it. So when the player came down on the forward momentum, that spot's hers.
That's her second personal foul, and so Kramer shooting two. Makes her first. Kramer already breaking double digits in this game.
You're here. You're here, that's what.
In fact, she is nowhere near. Kramer gets both, and she's up to 12 points. She is nowhere near the leaderboard in points scored in the Southern Division.
How far down does the leaderboard go?
Leaderboard goes to about 10. Long two from Mugno, no good.
It says 12 points minimum per game to be listed.
That's Vincent. She's going to the line.
The foul from behind by Howard, and it's a reasonable foul, but to get away with it, you really need to control your speed versus your opponent. And Howard's speed was just a little faster than Vincent's.
Vincent, 75% free throw shooter on the season, misses her first, and you're right. It's one of those things, though, when a player's open, as Vincent was, Howard goes in there at the very least, get down there and make them earn those points from the free throw line. And she misses both, so it was a good foul, but we've got a push
on
Kramer, who's had a strong first half, and because it's a loose ball foul, we're going to have free throws the other way.
And not Silver, but Howard gets a chance to make up for the foul that she committed. And if she can put even one of them down, her foul was more than worth it. I mean, you don't see it from a coaching standpoint, but from a give and take. First one up and good.
So Howard got one to Vincent 0, and you're right. Right, from a coaching standpoint, obviously you don't want your players in foul trouble, but for MCTC right now, anything to really get them points and get them some momentum, get a run going so that the morale doesn't drop, although with a 21-3 program, I don't think it's dropped that much. For three, that's Pilgrim. Bullseye!
The pass was from a City player. Who's the assist from?
Moore.
There you go.
31-17. Anoka-Ramsey. Pilgrim originally from Osseo, where she graduated from there. Blackhawk with the mid-range shot. As older fans like you like to note, a lost start in the game of basketball with the advent of the three-point line.
If you want, we can talk about that a little bit at halftime. But I do want to have you ask me a question next time out. Where was I last night?
I'll keep that in mind. Pilgrim was at Osseo. I covered one of their games last year against St. Paul Central. That's Vincent, traveling violation. And I could see that one from a mile.
She dipped her shoulder too, so if there was no traveling, the player from MCTC held their position, to have been in player control.
So in a sense, that traveling violation saved her from a foul.
The good versus the bad.
Vincent breaks up the pass and still gets the steal. Vincent is open. We got a player down. Pilgrim, she gets back up as Vincent gets the left-handed layup in the fast break.
The player that went down was Pilgrim, and she got pushed a little bit by Howard, and it wasn't called, and it was even right in front of the referee.
33-19. Queen, she threw it up there. No finesse on that shot.
That's what you call too wide open.
Moore. That's her sweet spot. Got it. Anoka-Ramsey ripping MCTC apart so far on their home floor. 36-19, 5:26 to go. And since we're out of timeout, I will ask you, where were you last night?
Well, today I'm at number 4 versus number 7 in the nation. Yesterday I was at number 2 versus number 10 in the state for 4A. Hopkins at Edina. The last time those two teams met, Edina shot literally, in the first half, 80% from the field overall. And I think it was 72% from the three-point area. And ended up winning the game by 26. Last night, a tad different story. Edina comes out and finishes the game with about 37%. Hopkins finished with about 45. Won the game by 4. But the main thing is the players that hurt Hopkins the time before, which were not mainstream players for Edina in terms of scoring, did not hurt him this time, and that's where the difference was.
You mentioned off broadcast before the season started, it is feasible that the state champion in Class 4A could have 10 losses, although Lakeville North would be the early favorite.
Player.
Uh-oh, we've got a little fan out there, a player a player to be in several years out on the court.
You have to have a high school diploma to be recruited at this level.
So she's got a few years before that happens. That's something you don't see often.
Well, you see players come out once in a while for their sister, but not for their mom.
We've got a foul on an Anoka. No, it's on MCTC. The elbow right into Moore, so Blackhawk will get tagged with another foul here, and Moore slow to get up, but looks like she's shaking it off.
Blackhawk was going to go to the left and pass it off on a step pass off the dribble, and found Moore sitting there and had to stop, and that's why the travel was called.
Oh, it was a traveling violation, so there was no foul.
17-point lead for Anoka-Ramsey with the ball.
Silva on the left side. Hands it off to Vincent, who's in the paint. She wants it. Can't get it. Rebound Blackhawk. Blackhawk second in the Southern Division in rebounds, averaging 8.6 boards a game.
Miles with the ball on top.
Goes to Queen. She's open. That's in and out. And the rebound, fight for it. It goes to Pilgrim, and Silva picks it up. Moore is open on the other end. 1-on-2. She forced it, and we have a foul.
Now, for those of you watching on TV, as you look at the screen, the referee that's right in front of you now that made the call had the angle between the players so you could see the push. The player on the baseline was blocked out by the defense, by the offensive player, so he didn't see the defensive player come in. That's why the baseline referee did not make the call.
So Moore makes her first. Anoka-Ramsey in the double bonus. 4:29 to go, and what does MCTC have to do to bring themselves back in this? Because this was top two teams in the Southern Division, and I thought this was going to be back and forth so far, but right now Anoka-Ramsey is doing what they want. Point
number one, we have 24 minutes of game to be played yet. Point number two, do you see MCTC panicking in any way, shape, or form?
Not yet.
And that's because of how much older a lot of these players are, and they recognize and can handle adversity a lot better. If this was Anoka-Ramsey down, there'd be a lot of panic going on.
Jeffrey going back in the game for MCTC. Queen, she was open the last time. This time goes inside the wall.
Nice give and go between Queen and Wall.
3-point play opportunity here for Wall, and she's been quiet in the last few minutes.
MCTC's been quiet the last few minutes. It's not just Wall.
They'll take anything that can get them some momentum, but like you said, older players, non-traditional students, so to speak, so they could better handle adversity, whereas, like you said, Anoka-Ramsey could be a different story, or at the high school level, you'll see a lot of players panic sometimes. We've got a foul on Anoka-Ramsey.
Now, if you're a post player, you get the ball underneath the basket like that, before you try to put the shot up, look at your feet if you're already looking down. Recognize where you are on the floor, because you know you got about 3 feet from the baseline to the edge of the backboard. And if you're within that 3 feet, don't even try to push it up, because referee will call you for player control.
The foul is on Vincent, her first, but Jeffrey can't bring down the free throw. It's a 1-on-1 situation, so the Golden Rams have the ball back. Vincent for three. Bullseye.
Now, the Mavericks are coming across a situation from Anoka-Ramsey similar to what Hopkins came across when they played Edina the first time. Anoka-Ramsey's shooting the lights out. When we get that stat sheet, I'll bet they're 55%.
Blackhawk can't bring down the three, but Wall has the rebound. No putback. Still going for it. Wall picks it up, and the third time is the charm.
You're going to notice a big edge for MCTC on the rebounds, too.
Big edge on rebounds, just not getting the shots to go down. Vincent couldn't get that one down for Anoka-Ramsey. Jump ball. Possession-arrow points to the Golden Rams.
Did you see the fire in the eyes of those two players? They're ready to throw down.
That's another sport.
Not in basketball for the women.
Hansen for three. Yes. Top of the key. 44-23. Anoka-Ramsey.
Man, I almost thought Janelle McCarville was shooting a three-pointer.
No, she plays for the Liberty.
Yeah, but a post player shooting a, had to be there.
Well, there's going to be another post player doing that, I imagine, next year in the WNBA. Jenna Smith at Illinois and Cassie Rochelle could be the next Big Ten post to shoot from the perimeter as she heads for Wisconsin.
Howard. No, that was Blackhawk.
Moore picks up the ball. And she gets tied up. We have a foul on MCTC. 2 free throws coming.
They're calling it on Jeffy's. No, they're not. They're calling that on Queen. No, they call it on
Jeffrey. That's her third.
No, Jeffy. My mistake earlier.
Moore makes the first free throw.
Good. Yeah, that's pretty good. There she is.
Second one's good.
Doubled up on MCTC right now.
Wall almost loses it. Retains control. No backcourt violation. We have Natalie Horn back in the game for MCTC. Blackhawk loses it to Hansen. I imagine the turnover battle is in Anoka-Ramsey's favor. Moore for three. Yes! 26-point advantage, and there's no mercy rule here at the college level, so there won't be any running clock.
Only in the first half to start with.
Just in case someone's curious.
Now, if you're Anoka-Ramsey, you got the state tournament coming up. These are the 2 likely top 2 seeds. And the top 2 Southern seeds will go to the regional tournament. So they're going to face each other 2 more times yet. Any motivation in a slap-in-the-face loss like this, do you think?
Anoka-Ramsey, they came out here to play. You mentioned their last win. They're ranked higher than MCTC because of common opponents.
Partially because of common opponents, partially because MCTC stumbled against Rochester more than any other reason. And when you stumble, you fall in the rankings.
Moore again for three. She is hot. She's on fire from behind the arc. We mentioned that was her strength at St. Paul Johnson, and that's carried over to the Golden Rams.
For Keith Lindahl, halftime can't come soon enough, hoping that the fire water gets put out.
Queen looking to douse the flames, and she does for the moment. But a 27-point deficit is staring at MCTC's faces, and Silva looking to increase it. Can't do it, but Anderson has the rebound. Hansen has the ball. Anoka-Ramsey slowing things down a little bit. Anderson thought about it. She might have had an open look on the top of the key, but instead goes to Vincent. Going to the left side. No layup. And it's brought down by Howard. Less than a minute to go. Loses it to Vincent. She's open. You know what she's going to do.
Well, it's not slam it, but yeah, she made the basket.
You're right. For those listening to the audio broadcast, when I say that, it usually doesn't mean they're going to miss. That's Queen. She can't bring it down. Foul on Anoka-Ramsey. So really for MCTC, the shots aren't falling, and the turnovers, they have to work on controlling that if they want to bring themselves back in this contest.
Well, to be honest with you, both teams are going to have to work on turnovers. I'm sure we're looking at a spread of like 17-14 on turnovers at half. But there's two main differences going on here. One, Anoka-Ramsey is shooting a much higher percentage on their shots. And two, Anoka-Ramsey is actually chasing the balls down that are loose on the floor faster and stronger than MCTC right now.
Wall misses her first, and you're right, in terms of shooting, even with the best defense out there, it's hard to defend against good shooters when they're on a great game as Anoka-Ramsey is. Wall makes one of two. Hopkins learned that the hard way.
Well, it only takes one time to learn it.
And if you're going to lose, you may as well lose now and versus the playoffs.
There is a shot clock, because the shot clock is a little bit ahead of the game clock. Now, for those of you wondering what's going on TV, as you know, in college basketball for the women, there's no backcourt 10-second. But that does mean there's a 5-second backcourt.
Moore goes inside, gets the basket, 3 seconds. I don't think MCTC is going to have enough time to get a shot off. They do not. We go into halftime. Anoka-Ramsey on all cylinders. MCTC will have to recollect themselves. 56-26 as we go into halftime, but we'll come back with first half analysis as we look at our box score. Welcome back to Community Hoops presentation of Community College Basketball, NJCAA Division III, Anoka-Ramsey and MCTC. We start the second half with Anoka-Ramsey up 56-26. MCTC, a lot of work to do if they want to come back. I'm Mike Peden, joined by Tony Geer, and what essentially is a bonus game for me and another game for Tony. And I understand you have first half stats, and they don't exactly tell the whole story in the sense of Anoka-Ramsey's domination. There's something MCTC are doing well.
There are some things that MCTC is doing well, but we should also mention that Ty Productions is involved in this. You just mentioned Community Hoops.
Right, Ty Video Productions also a part of this.
All right. In terms of stats, there's no double figure scoring for MCTC right now. All the scoring in terms of double figures is on the Anoka-Ramsey side. And the big difference right now with 30-point difference, Alex Moore, she was not expected to participate in the scoring as much as she is. She has 45 points, 3 assists, which accounts for a minimum 31 points, and that's the difference in the game right now. Turnovers, they have 11 for the Mavericks and 2 for the Rams, which I think is low for both teams. I think the differential is off a little, but it's reasonable representation. Rebounding, I think this is off big time. MCTC has 23 total, Anoka-Ramsey 21, and I thought for sure MCTC had 10 more rebounds. Shooting percentage, I mentioned that Anoka-Ramsey must be shooting about 55%. Well, they're actually shooting 54.1. I'm sorry I was off a little bit. And MCTC is at 33%.
If this were the Price is Right, you would have been disqualified for going over.
Darn. 0 for 5 from the three-point area for MCTC, 6 for 13 for Anoka-Ramsey. What needs to happen in the second half for Anoka-Ramsey? They need to continue shooting hot. They cannot let an MCTC run rattle them. What needs to happen for MCTC? They need to extend their man defense just a little bit, get better balance, and not worry about their shots being off because they're going to fall.
Interestingly, for Moore, she averages 13.9 points per game coming into today, so she's almost doubled that scoring average in 20 minutes of play. MCTC wearing purple and red, not in color combination you see too often. Anoka-Ramsey wearing white.
Our cameraman is just now catching up with the action. That cigarette must have been really good.
Blackhawk can't save it in time.
From our vantage point, Hansen was the last one touched it before Blackhawk, so it would have been MCTC ball. But when you're in the fight of the game and have to make quick decisions like that, it's difficult.
Yeah, you don't necessarily think about who was the last person to touch it. Vincent draws the foul. I believe it'll go against Horn. And that was something that got MCTC in trouble, was racking up fouls early and sending the Rams to the free throw line.
You're right, Horn did not play much, but she doesn't have personal fouls to show for it. I think she didn't play much because of effort. Jeffy has 3 personal fouls, and that's going to limit her playing time in the second half.
Hansen, no good. Vincent gets the kiss off the glass.
Hansen hit that shot earlier, late in the first half, on the inbounds play.
Interesting to note, MCTC has not led in this game.
The closest they've been is the 2-0. Or actually 2-2.
MCTC ball. For a moment I thought that was heading our way.
You wanted to play, didn't you?
I don't shoot that well. I don't think I'd hold up too long.
But you got the high school diploma, unlike the other one that wanted to play.
I have that. I have the college degree, and we have got a
Shot
clock violation. That's the first time that came into play.
I think it's kind of ironic if you look at this coaching staff. James Fassett was coaching MCTC for a number of years, and now he's coaching at Anoka-Ramsey, and Keith Lindahl coached at Anoka-Ramsey before Witt got the job, and now he's at MCTC.
Vincent draws the foul. It's ruled a shooting foul. See what's on.
So for both those coaches, it's on number 34, Queen, yeah. So for both those coaches, it's got to be kind of a, wait a minute, who am I coaching here? What's going on?
Vincent can't make her first free throw. We mentioned 75% free throw shooter on the season, and we might be jinxing her a little bit with those stats. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of Mallory Kramer in the game. She was doing really well, and she seems to thrive when we put her on TV. Vincent 1 of 2. It's a 33-point lead for Anoka-Ramsey.
From a defensive standpoint, she wasn't moving the body the way she needs to, and that's probably playing a lot into the decision process right now of her being on the floor or not.
Yeah, it's not just point production that puts you on the floor, as Blackhawk adds 2 more to her total.
And a big total it is. It's not.
Wall with the steal. She's going on the left side. Goes to an open Queen on the right side. Queen tries to draw the foul. She gets it. No basket. And one of those cases, she was open for a second. Would you rather take the 2 or try to get the foul on you? I mean, obviously you want to get the foul in the basket, but in this situation, would it be better to get the field goal or try to make it on free throws?
The smart play, as Queen did, is bounce, give yourself a power dribble or one dribble in, and try to drive into a spot where the defense is going to come into. So not only do you get the basket, but you get the foul. For an inexperienced player, the play is to shoot the 7-footer.
Well, Queen got the free throws, so she does get her 2 points. Vincent looking to respond, mid-range. Short, we mentioned earlier, that was a lost start with the advent of the three-point line, the mid-range shot.
That was what I wanted to talk about earlier, but we'll get to that later.
Howard for 3, no good. Rebound Hansen. When I talked about that earlier, I still remember to this day, well, in part because it's online, the chat we had back at the All-Star game a couple years ago. Moore for 3. 62-30, Anoka-Ramsey.
You'll have to remind me of the timeout.
And that's okay. I have a tendency to remember a lot of unusual things.
And I don't.
I'm not saying you don't, but I have a tendency to pull stories out of thin air. Wall can't get the shot. Howard can't get the putback. Wall got the rebound, and she draws the foul on Anoka-Ramsey.
Okay, they said 3-4, but there's no 3-4 for Anoka-Ramsey.
It's on Silva, so they meant to signal 2-4, but yeah, I saw 3-4 too.
I was like, wait a minute, did I miss something?
Same thing my end, but I'm not as crazy as I once thought. Queen, double teamed.
Yeah, the rest of us just know it.
What was it, last year at the state tournament? I said something, and your buddy had mentioned and explained 90% of me. Anoka-Ramsey with the ball, 62-30.
Were chairs thinking about you or something?
Mallory Kramer going back in the game. No, I was joking around. I said, yeah, I've spent my entire life confused, and that's where Steven chipped in.
Now I remember.
And Silva goes on the left side. Two-pointer good, 64-30.
Ball on the right side for Queen. She spin dribbles in.
Wall has it, finds an open Howard, and Howard gets the 2 points from the paint. And Anoka-Ramsey, it seems like no matter what stage of the game, it's always a 2-1 advantage. Whether it's 14-7 or in this case 64-32. MCTC bench trying to get the roster into it. Hansen from the corner, too strong. Rebound Blackhawk. And I watched the game earlier this week, and it was Bob Knight as Howard can't bring down the pass that says you can't make a living out of the corner.
No, but you can get yourself in the corner and make a living. Seriously, I can think of 3 or 4 NBA players right now that got to the NBA because they made a living out of the corner. Now they shoot better from different parts of the perimeter and in the lane, but that was what they did in college.
Moore. She tried to drive herself, ill-advised. We have an open Blackhawk. She won't take long to score 2 points on the left side. But MCTC is going to need a few more plays like that to get themselves back in the game.
You think?
I know so. And Hansen, too strong. Open look, you got to put those in. Ill-advised pass. That was a Brett Favre-like, intercepted by Vincent. Moore for 3.
That pass wasn't that good.
And we have a foul on Anoka-Ramsey. Well, that's what I mentioned Brett Favre-like. Do you remember that last pass he made against New Orleans?
That pass had some rough on it. This one was just a duck. It was a Brad Johnson pass.
It was a Brad Johnson pass.
Anoka-Ramsey looks like they're clearing the bench.
All 2 of them.
Now you're catching on, and Blue takes timeout.
We have a timeout, so you're mentioning about that 2008 All-Star game, and I'll mention the mid-range shot in a second, but I think we were talking about it, and remember when I got a look at a tape from the 1986 state tournament that our friend Tracy Buford was a part of?
Right.
And then,
okay. Now, if you look at shot charts for even at the college level, you're going to see like this yellow line for the volleyball. All the shots are going to be baseline incentive, especially in the lane, and then you're going to see a spattering of perimeter, okay, and some in the lane. You're not going to see that corner, like from the elbow down to the block and out inside the three-point line. On either side, you're going to see very few shots taken by any team. I sat there and looked at shot charts for 14 teams this year. All 5 of the Classic Lake teams, a couple of the Lake Conference teams, the University of Minnesota, the University of Iowa, and Penn State. And it's you can put them on top of each other. It's the same. That's where the shots are being taken. Players, if you want to make a college scholarship, learn that 15-footer from beyond the elbow. Learn that 15-foot from beyond the second, third rebounding spot, okay? Or even a 13-footer. Because if you can make those shots that are barely being taken by anyone, coaches are going to notice.
Most definitely. If someone could learn that from Minnesota, that would really help them out next season. There's still some time left to salvage this season, but not much. MCTC ball. Pilgrim went for the steal. So the Mavericks will try again. Wall. There's that mid-range we were talking about inside the paint. She can't get it to fall. Neither can Horn. Wall. Miscommunication. She was looking for Horn, and instead it almost goes to us. And look who's back in the game. It's Mallory Kramer.
That ball clearly went off of Mallory's fingertips, but the referees did not see it.
And we can't have a challenge on this level.
Yeah, we're going to get involved. I can see that happening.
Yeah, they can't go run up to our cameraman and say, let's take a look at the tape. He has the reverse angle from where we're sitting.
I hope he had the smarts to change tapes on us.
Traveling violation on Kramer.
So I don't recall him changing tapes, to be honest with you.
Well, at least it's on the audio feed, but right now 64-34. Not much else you can say right now. We've got a foul on Anoka-Ramsey.
I think it's going to be on Hanson if she came through, as Howard came through. Is that Kramer?
No, the foul is on 23. That's Milgram. That's her fourth. And that could hurt Anoka-Ramsey. They don't have as strong a bench or as deep a bench as MCTC does. So if they lose players early, that could be problematic. We have 14 minutes to go. Jump ball. Possession points to Anoka-Ramsey. 14 minutes to go. That could be a game changer here because the Golden Rams have such a short bench.
I think short bench is the key. But right now, at 30 points, you can't sit there and be MCTC and rely on putting them in foul trouble.
At least not solely foul trouble. You've got to do more. They've got to just get shots to fall. Anoka-Ramsey could play clock, and that's not going to get it done for MCTC. We've got a foul.
That's going to be on Howard. Third team foul this half. That's her third personal.
They rule it on Wall. That is, well, that's her third personal. The foul goes against Wall. Vincent, long two, no good. Rebound, Monyo.
Blackhawk comes up on defense over to the left side. Howard
thought about a three, goes to Blackhawk. She thought about a three, goes for two instead, and she gets the wall. Inside. I've seen that a lot from MCTC. They'll go outside and then they try to drive inside for that short range shot. Moore, top of the key, too strong. Rebound, Blackhawk, again, second in the Southern Division in that category.
That shot from Moore, that was clearly, I have momentum, I have confidence shot. That's not normally her shot.
Howard, and one. Well, speaking about Moore, when you scored 25 points in the first half, I don't know how you wouldn't get confidence.
You think? Now, we could be witnessing the comeback of the century.
Howard at the line, three-point play opportunity here. Can't get the free throw to fall, though. And possession will stay with...
It's going to go Anoka-Ramsey.
Anoka-Ramsey. 26 points. It would be the comeback of the century here, but as you mentioned, MCTC, older roster, they're used to adversity. They know that 12 minutes and 54 seconds is an eternity in basketball.
If you choose the clock wisely. No more shot clock violations.
They did have one in this half. Kramer thought about going inside. Stes goes to Anderson outside, and that doesn't fall.
Monyo with several rebounds now and a strong offensive presence for MCTC has really changed a little bit of the momentum for Anoka-Ramsey.
Intercepted by Kramer. She's got Anderson open. She can't bring it down, at least not cleanly, but she gets the 2 points, and that's all that matters on the left side.
That turnover and score resulted in Blackhawk forcing a pass that she shouldn't have forced.
Wall, inside, yes.
And those are the shots that MCTC was missing earlier.
As you mentioned, MCTC with the edge on rebounds, and if those shots were falling, this would not be a 26-point game. And MCTC certainly not the weaker team in terms of the stat sheet. They're just not having a great day so far.
Well, clearly, if MCTC was making a few of the shots that they normally would make, that they've been missing an awful lot of in this game, Anoka-Ramsey would still be up by best estimate 10-12.
Howard, no good. Rebound Kramer, leading the Southern Division in that category.
But MCTC is not, quote-unquote, this bad, is the point that we're trying to make. And Anoka-Ramsey is this good.
Foul on Anoka-Ramsey. And that's important because that's their last foul to give, I believe. Yes, it is. So Anoka-Ramsey out of fouls to give. Again, 26 points. MCTC would have to do a lot, and they're running out of time to do it, but they have the advantage at the foul line. They still have 3 fouls to give. Anoka-Ramsey will be in the penalty in the next foul. We've got Queen on the left side. Goes inside again, and those inside shots are starting to fall. MCTC showing some life here midway in the second half.
MCTC is doing a lot of left to right lane drive. In the first half, they were doing right to left.
Well, that's to look themselves in a mirror. Decided to reverse. Silva for 3. No good.
Well, here's a better way to describe it. Both halves, they're doing bench side to fan side.
We've got a foul on MCTC, so they have 2 to give. And we talked about using the clock wisely in these shots. And Anoka-Ramsey, they're starting to give MCTC some opportunities. We've got a timeout here, and so...
how much time on the clock?
10:41. I'm going to go see if the clock is still working. Do you want to give us some story time here for a second?
Well, let's actually just look at some graphics on the screen about how you can order copies of this game.
All right, we'll throw that up here, and while I go check the scoreboard, we'll throw up the graphics up on the screen, and you can enlighten us on what your plans are for the year.
Okay, so that's where you can order copies of this game or any other game that Tide Productions does.
www.tyvp.net will be on at least one more time this basketball season with the Twin Cities Girls Championship game and the Twin Cities Boys Championship game. The Girls Championship should be closer than previous years, and for the first time in years, we really don't know who's going to go in. Central and Humboldt are tied in the loss column, and unless something funky happens at Humboldt or Central, it could very well go down to the final game on February 26th, the day before. Silva drains the 3, or that's
you keep missing
rule the 2.
out on the fact that in Minneapolis, it's the same situation.
South and Roosevelt tied, and they play each other next Friday. And the Blackhawk long tooth, that doesn't fall. Queen picks it up. And for those of you listening on the audio or watching this on TV, the Twin Cities and the conference and how that works, it's a strange system, but if a team finishes tied and Central and Humboldt and South and Roosevelt are tied, the team with the longest drought goes on to the Twin Cities game. Queen going to the line, she drains her first.
And between Highland and Humboldt, I can't remember the last time either one of those teams were in and have been around for 30 years. I think the nod would go to Humboldt, though.
I'll have to check the St. Paul City Conference Athletic website. Queen makes both free throws, and we've seen MCTC, they were down by as much as 32. They've cut it to 24. And if they can get it to about 10 with 5 minutes to go, they'll be back in this.
They were actually down 34 at 64-30.
And this is why I'm not a mathematician.
And this is why we're on the mic.
That's why my name is Mike. Okay, that was lame. But Hansen.
Anyone who expected less out of Mr. Peden, please email me.
Howard with the 2-on-1 situation here, and they draw the foul on Anoka-Ramsey.
Now, this player that had the ball, number 22,
Eric Starbacker,
she was expecting a travel call to be made.
And she stopped, and that might actually pay off here. Remember, Anoka-Ramsey in the penalty. Starbacker makes her first, and this is where Anoka-Ramsey could face trouble. The NCTC in the bonus, making points with the clock stopped.
They got 2 players with 4 fouls.
And that's the other problem they've got. Alyssa Silva picks up her 4th, and they only have 7 players, so...
And they have 2 players with 3. One of them just grabbed the rebound.
So we might have a situation here where Anoka-Ramsey could play shorthanded like you would see in hockey. More coast to coast. Left
I'm
side
not
layup.
sure what the rule is, but in college, I don't think you can play with less than 5, even if you have the opportunity to win. It would end up going in the books as a forfeit, and all the stats would be wiped.
That's Anderson for 3, no good. And brought down by Hansen. She goes out to Kramer. Anoka-Ramsey resetting. They can kill clock here. Hansen, right side drive, short.
And this is what gets Anoka-Ramsey in trouble.
Traveling violation on MCTC, and that was a break for more. That could have been a foul.
Anoka-Ramsey shot so well in the first half, largely in due to Moore, but they selected their shots. You'll notice in the last 5 minutes of play, they're not selecting their shots. They're shooting the ball.
They're forcing it.
Am I making sense?
Oh, yes, you are. Yeah, they're forcing their shots. I mean, you're really seeing a tale of two halves here for Anoka-Ramsey. They're not making that shot selection they did in the first half, and that's why MCTC has been able to trim the lead a little bit.
I might have to rethink my process here because I'm starting to make sense to Mike Peden.
Hansen makes the 3 as we talk about this, so on cue, Anoka-Ramsey making sure that MCTC doesn't get a second win here.
Speaking of second
for
win.
3, got it.
Speaking of second win.
Monio with the 3-pointer, so it goes right back to 25. Timeout. MCTC.
That's a technical foul.
Oh, a technical foul, you're right.
What happened here is on the travel that MCTC committed from Howard, the play in the lane later by Mallory Kramer when she elephant stepped was not called, and Coach Lindahl kept on it. And it's just an example of how inconsistent Coach Lindahl felt the referees were being tonight. And so he kept getting in the ear of the referee, because he has to get his point across. And sometimes receiving a technical, you get your point across. That doesn't mean that the referees are going to change or improve or not improve, but at least you're getting your point across. You feel you're being hurt. It's an expensive ear, but you know.
Pilgrim makes both free throws, so it's 75-48, and Anoka-Ramsey will get possession as well. And now we have a full timeout here, and we were talking about the technical. In a general sense, the coach or manager, sometimes they'll do that as to stand behind their team. Even you would think, why would you get called for a technical? Because that would hurt your team. In a way, you're doing that because you like your team so much and you have so much passion and support, you'll defend them.
A technical in basketball is given for several reasons, but its usefulness tool is message giving. And in this case, there was a message given to the referees. There was a message given to your players that, hey, I'm still in your corner. We're down 30 points. I'm still in your corner. I'm fighting for you. You'll notice that I have not cleared the bench with players that don't normally play. And we still have our starters and we're still trying to make an effort here.
And again, it's likely these two teams will meet in postseason play, which is when it matters most, as I got a lesson a couple years ago with Central and South and their 3 matchups. And
you
then
really want to bring up that name for yourself?
Well, I can make myself feel better knowing that somebody predicted Minneapolis North to win the 2009 3A state title, and St. Michael Albertville had other ideas. But Alex Moore for 3, drains it. But we're not paid to be psychics. We're paid to break down basketball and point out a few things that you might otherwise not see if you're just watching on a home video.
Wait a minute. Let's back up to the part about getting paid.
Okay, we're not getting paid as much as we should be. That's
we're getting
for 3.
Paid?
Starbacker. Maybe not for this game, but I don't know. I thought you had a donation thing on your site.
Yeah, well, people have to make use of that.
It's on the top of the page. If you go to communityhoops.com, there is a donate button if you want to contribute.
It's on the blog spot on the news side.
It's on the blogspot site. So communityhoops.blogspot.com. And that funds all the coverage we're providing you. Stephanie Pilgrim airballs the 3, and Anoka-Ramsey can't handle it, so MCTC will get the ball here, 78-48.
You know what's refreshing, and I just thought of this? These players have not made a pass to a teammate's feet on a bounce pass. And that is so refreshing to see. Wow, did I just see an international three-point shot?
Went out of bounds.
I mean, that shot was from across the pond.
And it was an air ball for Blackhawk. 7.5 to go. And it looks like Anoka-Ramsey, as long as they don't find themselves in foul trouble here. Moore stops, pops, no good. Rebound, Blackhawk. And Anoka-Ramsey looks like they'll pull away with a win here, but Blackhawk will add 2 more points to her credit. Right at side layup.
If you're Keith Lindahl right now, you're playing to see who's going to come through for you in the clutch. You're playing to see how people are going to react in blowouts. Now, in their 3 or 4 losses, I think the most has been 10. And that's a scholarship community college school.
Hansen for 3, a little to the left, and it's picked up by Monio, who had the last block for MCTC, but she throws it right into Pilgrim's hands, and Moore drives on the left side, short. MCTC ball.
And you also use this game as, before the state tournament, you know what, I'm not looking past our quarterfinal, our semifinal game, but you best know that when we see Anoka-Ramsey in the finals, we're going to be ready.
Mid-range swish for Blackhawk. Left-handed hook. And now we have a scramble for the ball. I'm surprised it wasn't a foul call. Wall was all over Moore. Had that been football, might have been holding. Perhaps you can enlighten us.
Well, that was going to be over and back. There was no reason for the MCTC player to fight for the ball. Just stay close to Moore so she can't pick it up, or if she does, over and back does get called.
Monio would
let that ball go.
Monio with the mid-range J. And so once again, MCTC cutting it to 24, but that's as close as they've been in the second half. Anoka-Ramsey almost threw it away, but Hansen was there for the save. Silva for 3, no good.
Hansen, what a great job slapping that rebound out and almost ending up with a loose ball rebound.
Wall picks it up, though. Anoka-Ramsey could be showing a little crack in their armor, and we've got a push foul on Kramer.
That could be 4 on her.
And Anoka-Ramsey, in the short term, they're out of fouls to give, so that's free throws for MCTC. That is her 4th personal. So you've got 3 players with 4 fouls.
Well, here's a surprise.
That's a double bonus for
here's
MCTC.
a surprise for you. Witt just got a technical.
So a technical foul and the foul, so we're going to have 4 free throws here for MCTC.
They're going to shoot. They're going to shoot the player foul first.
And MCTC...
No, they're shooting the technical first, then the player foul.
And will MCTC get possession?
Yes, I believe they would. No, they're going to shoot the technicals, then they're going to line up for the free throws.
Blackhawks first one short.
And that was 1 and 1. No, that's technical, so it's bench tech.
Well, MCTC's in the double bonus, so they're going to shoot 2 free throws after this.
Okay.
I shorted them a foul.
You didn't. The scoreboard did.
That's right. It's the scoreboard's fault. Blackhawk can't drain the technical free throws, though. And she was a 77% free throw shooter coming into today. It seems like every time I bring it up, they don't go in.
It's the Peden magic. The opposite happens. Look at Moore and Kramer today.
Well, Moore, like I said, 14 points per game. She nearly doubled that in the first half. Wall makes her first. I didn't say anything that time, and that's why she went in. And Mallory Kramer, who wasn't even on the leaderboard because she didn't score enough to be on that leaderboard, scored 12 points to start the game.
Blackhawk comes out. She'll probably be done for the day.
Wall makes both, so MCTC 2 of 4, and there is no extra possession here because of the foul. It's 78-58.
Toussaint's in for MCTC now.
Amy Miles in the game for the Mavericks as well. And here's where that depth could be a factor, at least in these last 5 minutes. It's a 22-point deficit, but for MCTC, any kind of momentum just to show Anoka-Ramsey, we're not out of this by any means.
If for some reason MCTC can cut this down to like 15 before the 3-minute mark, you might see a different game here.
Silva with the basket for Anoka-Ramsey. Miles, top of the key, goes right to Toussaint. Passing around, looking for that open shot. Miles uses the screen, but to no avail. Hansen with the block. Pilgrim picks it up. Less than 5 to go. There's a traveling violation. You can jump once, you can't jump twice.
Well, normally that's a jump ball look, but because she took her steps to get there, that's a travel.
No Super Mario Brothers here.
I thought that was Donkey Kong.
Well, it was Mario that popularized the use of jumping. Air ball and the putback.
Oh, that was a pass.
Oh, it was a pass disguised as an air ball. It's the classic pass disguised as an air ball, and it paid off for MCTC as Monyo picked up the 2. Vincent, left side, open look, no good. Rebound Monyo. Wall open, can't get there. Wall was open, but missed the target.
22-point game. Kramer back in.
And she's got 4 fouls now. I don't see Anoka-Ramsey fouling out any players here. There's really no reason for them to play aggressive, but you still have to be careful. As you mentioned, if they have less than 5, they have to forfeit the game.
I don't know that.
Or they would play shorthanded. We have a stoppage in play. The clock is rolling.
Did not move.
The clock did not move. 3 seconds late. Brings back memories of the 08 state tournament, or not the state tournament, the All-Star Series.
All right, let's just stick to this now. I want to find one person that's watching or listening to this that knows what you're talking about.
Well, it is online. You can go online and look for it and find out what I'm talking about there. But right now,
you and Steve deserve each other. You should hang out more.
We have a foul. It's going against Anoka-Ramsey. No, it isn't. It's on MCTC. They're just motioning that way. MCTC had a foul to give, so Silva's at the line. Foul's on Toussaint, but by now it's a moot point.
22 points, 401. Anoka-Ramsey at the line. I think I recapped that pretty good.
Silva makes your first free throw. I'd say you did recap that pretty good, but you've had a whole season to sharpen up in the play-by-play.
Yeah, and you're letting me do a whole lot of it, too.
Silva makes both. 82-58, 24 points to go. Or 24 minutes to go, 24-point lead.
It's 4 minutes to go, 24-point lead.
Monyo for 3.
Coming up.
Off the backboard and in.
Anybody got that bank card for that deposit or withdrawal?
I think that's over at University Avenue.
Okay, we're going to get some rim shots thrown in here somewhere.
Moore stops, pops, swish. Moore, she easily has 30, I can imagine.
You know, there's that Rockford thing going on again. She comes into the half with 25. She's obviously made 3 or 4 baskets. No, she might have 30. I'm not sure.
Referring to the Rockford files?
Yes. Your detective work is unbelievable.
James Garner, way back in the 70s. That's a while ago, as Wall can't get the roll, and the ball almost goes right to her. They're still scrambling for her. We've got a foul.
That particular shot by Wall is an example of how the day has been going for MCTC.
What we call a microcosm, but do credit to MCTC. I mean, Anoka-Ramsey dominated all day. MCTC could be hanging their heads, but they're not.
Handy? I gotta look up some of these words he's using. You have a dictionary handy? I gotta look up some of these words he's using.
Alex Nagel in attendance today.
Jeez.
So Wall's at the line, looking to pad her stats as we enter that part of the game.
In fact, she's going negative side. Unbelievable.
In and out. As we know with basketball, quite often the game doesn't go as scripted. Silva almost drove it herself, but instead kicks out to Hansen. Anoka-Ramsey, they don't need to play aggressive here. They've got the game under books. They don't want to lose any players to fouling.
Somebody finally figured out to use the shot clock.
Kramer, no good, but again, Anoka-Ramsey just looking to coast home here. We've got a traveling violation on two Saints. I wouldn't call that the elephant step, just too many steps before you take the shot.
Yeah, there's a passport involved.
84-61, and at this point of the game, perhaps you want to mention what you'll be doing next for Community Hoops?
We're going to continue to follow Hopkins. We might pick up on a Richfield game. We're going to get involved with 45.grandstadium.tv, their coverage of the state wrestling tournament. I believe we have some room for you to pick up a mat and do some announcing if you want. And that's where that pay comes in.
On our end, as I mentioned, our next game tentatively is Matomidi Richfield next Friday, for those of you listening and those watching online. If not, as Wall gets the 2 points in the paint, that Highland-Humboldt game at Humboldt is looking pretty interesting on the girls' side, because Highland beat Humboldt at Highland in their first meeting.
That will be an interesting basketball game. And I truly think that the Jekyll and Hyde of Highland Park is going to show. Because Humboldt, they're pretty straightforward. They play their game, and it's just a matter of how well they play the game. Highland Park, you never know who's going to show up and what's going on that day.
And it's been that way for the last several years.
Yeah, they played Richfield. They beat Richfield in the holiday tournament, then they lost by 235 points or something like that to Richfield in the rematch.
235 points?
Don't ask. It was just a god-awful game.
It may as well have been 235 points is what you're saying.
It was god-awful.
Bonio for three. And MCTC, it's now an 18-point game, so something to look ahead to. We've got a timeout.
Maybe we should play overtime for 5 minutes so MCTC has a chance to get in there.
I'm sure if there was an overtime period, there would be.
Anoka-Ramsey takes a timeout. It's just for substitutions or get some communication across.
And for MCTC, obviously Anoka-Ramsey playing a little bit differently because they had a big lead, but you were down by 34. You cut it to 18. So how do you take that game and use that to carry on to the next one to keep the momentum alive?
You sit there and you tell your players, see what can happen when you play how you know you can play. I mean, you've brought back 16 points. And this is a team you've beaten earlier and you should beat.
And they could easily beat again if these two teams play each other.
There's 2 more meetings on the horizon. Unless somebody really screws up somewhere in the very near future, like at the state tournament, there's 2 more meetings for these guys.
So in other words, you're saying I should not be there?
I think you at the regional game.
I have that magic where I seem to screw things up.
Since we're not allowed to do section games anymore.
More NBA 3. There's the exclamation point.
Here's the 2 shots you take out to show what kind of day each team's having. The one where the ball just kind of rolled out over here for who was that? Wall. And then that 95-foot shot 3-pointer for Alex.
2 points for Sarbacker, so she'll be on the newspaper, and Alex Moore just content to hold on to the ball. And you mentioned we've got the tournament coming up, and these two teams could easily play each other again. MCTC, nothing to hang their heads about. They just got dominated. 87-68 is the final as Anoka-Ramsey moves ahead to first place in the Southern Division with an 8-1 record versus Minneapolis' 8-2.
Now, we're not going to have stats right away here, and so I'm sure you'll have a chance on the TV side to review the stats. Our final score, 87 Anoka-Ramsey, 68 MCTC. Number 4 versus number 7 in the nation. This game was not reflective of either team's abilities overall by far. It was a great game to watch and observe, though. Not
by any means, and you're right. Really, it came down to MCTC just not making their shots in the first half, but they are definitely not as bad as this game might suggest.
Now, your cameraman's waving. We should probably cut it off as far as this is concerned. And I'm sure you're going to do some sort of recap for everybody.
We will post stats online for those of you interested, and Like I said, if you want to order a copy of this, just go online to www.tyvp.net. Thanks for calling it. Maybe we'll call another game soon. First time in a couple years, just like goal times.
Well, except for the folks listening on CommunityHoops.com, we use a little bit more of it.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
Well, for everyone here at Community Hoops, this is Mike Peden. So long, everybody.